The future was never meant to last forever. We were humans, not gods. We reached for the stars, built empires of chrome and light, convinced that our dominion was absolute. But we were wrong. In our hubris, we tried to control the one force that governs all existence. We tried to control time, and time, in its infinite, silent wisdom, punished us. Welcome to the year 2047, a gilded age where humanity had seemingly conquered its own limitations. This was a world where memories were not just cherished, they were edited, curated, and sold on the open market. Lives were not just lived, they were upgraded, with enhancements that promised longer, stronger, better existences. And death was no longer an inevitability, but an option, a choice you could pay to avoid. We called it evolution. We believed we had ascended, transcended our fragile biological shells to become architects of our own destiny. But evolution had other plans. It was a current we tried to divert, and in doing so, we unleashed a flood. Deep beneath the shimmering skylines, hidden from the public eye, lay the secret to this new world, Project Eternity. It was humanity's greatest invention, our most audacious gamble. Inside a sprawling underground laboratory, the brightest minds of a generation worked in hushed, fervent tones, their faces illuminated by the glow of holographic interfaces. They were on the cusp of the ultimate breakthrough. "We can now rewrite time itself," one of them whispered, a mix of awe and terror in their voice. The central machine, a colossal sphere of humming energy and shifting metal, began to power on, its core glowing with the light of a captured star. They thought they were creating a utopia, but power always demands a price. The universe keeps a perfect ledger, and the debt was about to come due. Suddenly, the hum became a scream, alarms blared, bathing the pristine laboratory in the crimson glare of emergency lights. Panic erupted. The system was overloading. The intricate web of temporal mechanics they had so carefully woven was tearing apart at the seams. The timeline, once a straight and steady river, broke its banks. A cataclysmic explosion of pure energy ripped through the facility, but it wasn't a blast of fire or force. It was a rupture in reality itself. Gravity flickered, then inverted, sending scientists and equipment crashing into the ceiling. The past and the future, once distinct, collapsed into one another, merging into a single, horrifying nightmare. The world outside was torn asunder, history and tomorrow colliding in a chaotic, broken present. From this temporal wasteland, one man emerged. Ethan Cole, a man who had survived the moment time broke, but lost everything inside it. He wandered the ruined streets, a ghost in a city of echoes, haunted by memories that flickered and died like faulty holograms. He remembered a life, a wife, a daughter, but the images were fading, dissolving into static. His family was not killed in the cataclysm. Their fate was far crueler. They were erased, wiped from the timeline as if they had never existed. His love for them was the only proof they were ever real, a phantom limb of the soul that ached with an impossible loss. And from the ruins, something else clawed its way into existence. A new power, born from the temporal chaos. A dark figure, clad in shifting, chronal armor, commanding an army of robotic enforcers that moved with unnerving precision. It stood atop the wreckage of civilization, a self-proclaimed god of the new, broken age. "I am not human," its voice echoed, a synthesis of metal and distorted time. "I am the future, and time now answers to me." This new ruler sought not to rebuild, but to dominate the shattered timeline, to mold all of history and what was left of tomorrow into its own twisted image. But where there is tyranny, there is resistance. In the hidden bunkers beneath the rubble, the last remnants of humanity gathered. They had a plan, a desperate, final gambit to fix what was broken. But it required one person to journey into the heart of the temporal storm, to the very core of the overload. The commander of the resistance looked at Ethan, his eyes heavy with the weight of their potential failure. "Only one man can enter the core," he said. "Your unique temporal signature from the accident allows you to withstand it. But if you fail, the universe resets to a void. Everything, everyone, will cease to be." Ethan looked back, his gaze unwavering, hardened by a grief that had burned away all fear, "Then let it reset with me." His mission began, a desperate race against a collapsing reality. The world around him was a chaotic montage of action and destruction. Explosions tore through buildings that were simultaneously ancient and futuristic. Robotic drones and laser fire filled the air. With every second that ticked by, another possible timeline, another alternate universe, was extinguished forever. He fought through shattered cityscapes where gravity was a suggestion, not a law, engaging in zero-gravity combat against the villain's temporal soldiers. He wasn't just fighting an army, time itself was hunting him, trying to unmake him, to correct the anomaly that was his very existence. In a moment of surreal calm, amidst the chaos, the fractured timeline threw one final, cruel test at him. He turned a corner and saw her, a shimmering, translucent memory of his daughter, standing just as he remembered her, her favorite toy clutched in her hand. "Daddy," the memory whispered, its voice a heartbreaking echo. "Why did you leave time without me?" Tears streamed down Ethan's face, the first he'd allowed himself to shed. He reached out, his hand passing through the ghostly image. "I'm here to bring you back," he choked out, his resolve hardening into unbreakable steel. This was not just for the world, this was for her. He finally reached the sanctum of the new tyrant. The villain stood before the chaotic, swirling energy of the broken timeline's core. "You cannot defeat time, mortal," it boomed. Ethan raised his weapon, his face set. "Then I'll become its ending." The final confrontation was a battle not of strength, but of will, fought across splintered moments and dying realities. In the end, Ethan knew what he had to do. There was no victory in combat. The only way to fix the timeline was to balance the equation. He had been created by the accident, he had to be the one to close the loop. He turned away from his enemy and walked toward the blinding, raw energy of the core. To save time, he must disappear from it. He would offer his own existence as the final, missing piece to heal the rupture. As he stepped into the light, he thought of his daughter's face and smiled. The screen and all of reality faded to a pure, cleansing white. Slowly, color returned. The sun rose over a city that was whole again. The skies were clear. People walked the streets, breathing the fresh air of a world reborn, their faces filled with a peace they didn't understand. The world was saved, the timeline was healed. But no one remembered the man who died for it. There was no statue, no memorial, no entry in any history book for Ethan Cole. He was the hero who was never known. Project Eternity. Some heroes are never remembered, only existence knows their name.